All right, diving right in, today we're exploring How to Win, a brand new book by Kate Hayes.
Published just this year in 2025. And she really focuses on this fascinating psychological perspective on achieving success.
Particularly drawing from her experience working with elite athletes like the England Lionesses, their women's national football team.
So we're not talking about your average self-help, rah-rah kind of stuff.
Right, this is about understanding that mental game behind high performance.
Exact.
And Hayes presents this framework of 4, what she calls building blocks.
The who, the why, the how, and winning behaviors.
And the really interesting thing is, these apply way beyond just sports.
Oh, absolutely.
So no matter what kind of challenges you're facing in life, you can take away some really valuable insights from this.
Definitely. And I think that's what makes this book so powerful.
So let's start with that first building block, the who.
Okay, so with the who, Hayes is really emphasizing that we need to look beyond just behavior, what we see on the surface, to really understand a person's intentions and motivations.
So it's not just about what people do, it's about why they do it.
That's it. And a great example is when you see a team that's struggling, and it's not because of lack of effort or skill, but because there are personality clashes.
Oh, I see. So it's like they're working at cross purposes.
Exactly. And that's where understanding the who becomes so crucial.
Got it. And how does Hayes suggest we go about actually understanding this who?
Well, she uses a method called personality profiling.
Okay.
But it's not about labeling people.
Right.
It's about uncovering how they approach challenges, how they work together.
It's about getting a deeper understanding.
Precisely. And she uses a specific profile called the Spotlight to do this.
Interesting. Tell me more about that.
So the Spotlight analyzes 2 key aspects: mindset and behavioral style.
Mindset, so that's like their attitude towards things, how they view the world.
Yeah, like their sensitivity to reward and threat. Are they motivated by achieving success, or are they more driven by avoiding failure?
Makes sense.
And then behavioral style is all about how they interact with others.
So whether they're more task-oriented or people-focused.
Exactly. And this Spotlight technique, it's not just something she made up. It's rooted in established psychological research.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so it provides a really solid framework for understanding both individuals and teams.
This is fascinating.
Isn't it?
So for our listeners out there, how would you say knowing your who can actually help them in their lives?
Well, I think one of the biggest benefits is that it can really help you manage pressure more effectively.
I could see that.
If you understand how you tend to react in different situations, you can be more prepared.
You're not caught off guard.
Right. And it can also help you cultivate stronger connections with others.
Because you understand where they're coming from.
Precisely.
All right, that's the who. Now, let's move on to the second building block, the why.
The why. This is all about purpose.
Right.
Hayes introduces this concept of the North Star, that guiding principle that fuels your actions.
It's like a compass.
Exactly. It gives you direction, and it's especially important when you're facing setbacks.
Those moments where you might feel lost or discouraged.
Absolutely. And she gives a great example of this with the Cambridge University women's rowing team.
Oh, tell me about that.
So they suffered this heartbreaking loss in the boat race, a really big deal.
Wow, yeah.
But they were able to use their North Star to help them cope with that loss.
So it helped them keep perspective.
Yeah, and it gave them the motivation to come back stronger.
I like that.
And to uncover a team's true why, Hayes uses this really cool exercise called Think Like a Kid.
Think like a kid. What's that all about?
Well, picture a curious child,
Yeah,
just constantly asking why.
Until they get to the bottom of things.
Exactly. And that's essentially what this exercise is all about. You keep digging deeper and deeper.
So it's about uncovering those deeper motivations.
Yes, the real reasons behind what we do.
And Hayes even used this technique with the UK Sport Institute's sport psychology team. And they discovered their North Star was to maximize human performance and enhance positive mental health.
Which is pretty amazing when you think about it.
That's a far grander purpose than just winning medals.
Right. It's about something bigger than themselves.
I love that.
And this is something that we can all apply to our own lives.
Oh, absolutely.
Your why, your North Star, it doesn't have to be about sports or anything grand like that.
It can be about anything that truly motivates you.
Exactly. It's that driving force behind your endeavors, no matter what the outcome.
Because sometimes you don't win.
That's right. But if you have a strong why, you can still find meaning and purpose in the journey.
I think that's a great place to leave it for now.
Sounds good to me. Now let's look at another crucial aspect of how to win, and that's performing under pressure.
Ooh, I think we can all relate to that.
Right. I mean, who hasn't felt the heat at some point?
So how does Hayes approach this?
She introduces this idea of stadium skills, basically techniques for handling those really intense, high-stakes situations.
Yeah. Okay, so like having a mental game plan.
Exactly. Whether you're facing a big presentation at work,
Or a tough negotiation.
or even just a really important conversation.
These skills can help.
Absolutely.
And one of the things Hayes emphasizes is the importance of a pre-performance health check.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's kind of like what Team GB used for the Tokyo Olympics.
So it's not just about physical health.
Right. It's about evaluating your overall readiness.
Mentally, emotionally, everything.
Because things like sleep, stress levels, social support, all those things play a role.
They all contribute to how you're going to perform.
So it's about taking a holistic view.
Exactly. And Hayes also talks about the importance of contingency planning.
Contingency planning. So that's like having a backup plan.
Sort of. It's more about anticipating those what-if scenarios.
Oh, so.
Thinking about the things that could go wrong.
And having a plan for how you'll deal with them.
Precisely. Because, let's face it, in high-pressure situations, things rarely go exactly as planned.
That's so true.
So having that mental flexibility is crucial.
Makes sense. So you're not thrown completely off track if something unexpected happens.
Right. And Hayes actually outlines 3 key areas to focus on when it comes to performing under pressure.
Oh, I'm curious. What are they?
The first one is mental health and well-being.
So that's about taking care of yourself, especially during those demanding times.
Yeah, recognizing that you're a whole person with different needs.
Not just a machine that's supposed to perform.
And that if you neglect those needs, your performance is going to suffer.
So it's about finding that balance.
Exactly.
The second area is multiple identities.
And this is about not letting a single role define you completely.
Oh, that.
So, having other interests, developing skills outside of your main area of focus.
It's about having a broader sense of self.
Exactly. And it can be really helpful, especially when you're going through transitions or facing setbacks.
Because you have other things to fall back on.
Precisely.
And the third area is stadium skills.
Yes, these are the specific techniques for actually handling the pressure.
Give me an example.
Well, one of the most powerful tools is breath work.
Breath work. I've heard of that, but how does it work?
Hayes specifically talks about box breathing.
Box breathing, never heard of it.
It's a simple technique where you inhale for a certain count, hold your breath, exhale for the same count, and then hold again.
So you're regulating your breathing.
Exactly. And it's incredibly effective at calming the nervous system.
Because when you're stressed, your breathing gets all messed up.
Right, it gets shallow and rapid.
But with box breathing, you can slow it down.
And lower your heart rate, shift you out of that panic mode.
It's amazing how powerful something so simple can be.
And the best part is you can do it anywhere, anytime.
I'm going to have to try that.
You should. It's a game changer.
Okay, what other stadium skills are there?
Another important one is visualization.
Visualization, so that's like picturing yourself succeeding.
Yeah, basically mentally rehearsing the actions you want to take.
And seeing yourself doing it well.
Exactly, and this helps train both your mind and body.
So you're more prepared when you actually face the situation.
And more confident.
Because you've already done it in your mind.
Precisely.
That makes a lot of sense.
And then there's self-talk.
Self-talk, so the way we talk to ourselves.
Exactly, and we all have that inner voice, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But sometimes that voice can be pretty negative.
Full of doubt.
And that's where self-talk comes in.
So it's about recognizing those negative thoughts.
And consciously reframing them into positive affirmations.
So instead of saying, I can't do this,
you say, I can do this, or I'm prepared for this.
It's about changing that internal dialogue.
Exactly. And that can have a huge impact on your performance.
Because if you believe in yourself,
you're much more likely to succeed.
This is great stuff.
And Hayes also talks about the importance of pre-performance routines.
Pre-performance routines, interesting.
So these are like little rituals you do before a big event.
Like listening to a certain song?
Or visualizing success.
Or doing some specific movements.
Yeah, whatever works for you.
It's about creating a sense of familiarity and focus.
And reducing anxiety.
I like that.
It's like a mental warm-up routine.
Makes sense. And now, after you've poured all your energy into this big event,
Hayes emphasizes the importance of decompression.
Decompression, so unwinding and letting go of all that tension?
Precisely, because if you don't,
you can end up with an emotional hangover.
Or even burnout.
Right. So it's about processing those emotions and taking care of yourself afterwards.
And she actually draws a parallel to the halfway home approach used by the British Armed Forces.
Halfway home? What's that?
When troops return from deployment, They don't go straight back to their regular lives.
Oh, interesting.
They spend some time in a neutral environment to decompress.
So they have a chance to process everything they've been through.
Yeah, to reconnect with themselves and gradually transition back to their routine.
That makes a lot of sense.
And Hayes actually outlines a 6-step decompression process developed by the UK Sport Institute.
6 steps. Wow.
It's pretty comprehensive.
Wow, I guess decompression is important.
It's essential. And the first step is acknowledging your emotions.
So recognizing how you're feeling.
Whether you're drained, overwhelmed, disappointed, whatever it is.
It's about being honest with yourself.
Exactly. And then the next step is creating a timeline.
A timeline of the event.
Yeah, mapping out the key moments.
Like the highs and lows.
And pinpointing where you felt certain emotions.
So you're getting a clearer picture of what happened.
And then you can start to examine why those events triggered those feelings.
So it's about turning those experiences into lessons.
Exactly, both the positive and the negative.
Okay, what's the next step?
Identifying your strengths.
So recognizing what you did well.
Yeah, those moments of resilience, perseverance, excellence.
Reminding yourself of what you're capable of.
Precisely. And then you shift your focus to the future.
Setting new goals.
Identifying concrete steps you can take.
So you're not just dwelling on the past.
You're moving forward with purpose.
I like that.
And then the final step is taking action.
Actually doing something.
Even if it's just a small step.
Because that creates momentum.
And reinforces that sense of progress.
This whole decompression process is fascinating.
It's really valuable, especially for anyone who's navigating high-pressure periods.
I think that's a great takeaway for our listeners.
Absolutely. Take care of yourself, not just during the event, but afterwards as well. And it really encourages us to be mindful of our choices to ensure they truly reflect what matters most to us.
It's about aligning our actions with our values.
Exactly. And Hayes also reminds us that this path toward our goals, it's rarely a straight line.
There are going to be bumps along the road.
Absolutely. Setbacks, challenges, those moments of doubt.
They're all part of the process.
And in a way, those challenges make the victories even sweeter.
They give them more meaning.
Precisely. And she really emphasizes self-awareness as being key to navigating all of this.
So understanding your strengths and weaknesses, how you react under pressure.
It's all about knowing yourself.
And she gives a lot of practical advice on developing those stadium skills.
Those mental tools to help you perform at your best when the stakes are high.
And I think one of the things that makes her advice so compelling is that it's grounded in her own experience.
Oh, for sure. She's not just talking theory.
She shares a lot of anecdotes about how she's applied these principles in her own life to overcome her own hurdles.
Which makes it feel so much more relatable.
It does. And one striking example is her work with the England Red Roses.
Ah, their national women's rugby team.
A very accomplished team. But they were facing this interesting challenge.
What was that?
Well, they had these meticulously crafted game plans.
Sounds good so far.
But they were struggling to execute them effectively on the field.
Oh, so a disconnect between theory and practice.
Exactly. And this happens even at the elite level.
It's easy to overthink things when you're in the heat of the moment.
Absolutely. And Hayes, with her keen observation and psychological insight.
She was able to pinpoint this gap and help the team bridge it.
What was her approach?
Well, she recognized that in the rapid pace of a rugby match, players needed more than just complex strategies.
They needed something simpler, something more instinctive.
Exactly, something to help them make quick decisions under pressure.
So she came up with these cues, trigger words, essentially.
To facilitate that split-second decision-making.
And it worked.
It did, because by equipping the players with these mental tools, they were able to operate more instinctively, trusting their training and reacting more effectively to the ever-changing dynamics of the game.
So it's about simplifying complexity, distilling those intricate plans into their essence.
And making them easily accessible, even under duress.
It's brilliant.
And this really highlights the collaborative aspect as well.
Oh, how so?
Well, Hayes worked with the team to develop these cues, tailoring them to their specific game plan, positions, and roles.
So it wasn't just her imposing her ideas.
It was a true partnership, and that's so crucial for success, especially in a team environment.
It's about creating that shared understanding, that common language.
So everyone's on the same page, working together towards a common goal.
And Hayes also shares some valuable lessons from her work with Olympic athletes.
Ah, yes, the Olympics, the ultimate pressure cooker.
And she highlights the importance of that comprehensive pre-performance health check.
Oh, the one we talked about earlier.
Right. But she really emphasizes the mental and emotional aspects of preparation.
It's not just about being physically fit.
It's about being mentally and emotionally resilient as well,
And she also advocates for contingency planning
anticipating those unexpected challenges.
and being mentally prepared to handle them,
Because let's face it, things rarely go exactly as planned at the Olympics.
especially with all the added pressure and scrutiny.
And she has this great anecdote about a contingency planning session with Olympic divers.
Oh, I love this story.
To illustrate the importance of expecting the unexpected, she asked them this seemingly absurd question: what if the water turns green?
And everyone probably looked at her like she was crazy.
But guess what?
The water did turn green at the Rio Olympics.
Unbelievable.
It was bizarre, but the point is, those divers who had actually considered that improbable scenario,
They were much less fazed by it than those who hadn't.
it's a powerful reminder that you can't control everything,
But you can control your preparation and your reaction to challenges.
and your ability to learn from them, no matter how strange they may be.
Hayes' book is full of these practical strategies and inspiring stories.
It's a great read for anyone who wants to up their game no matter what field they're in.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into how to win, let's recap those 10 key takeaways that listeners can start applying today.
Sounds good.
Number 1, success is not just about the outcome. It's about mastering that mental game behind performance.
2, understand your who, your values, personality, and how you approach challenges.
3, define your why, that driving force, that guiding principle that keeps you going.
4, articulate a clear how, a well-defined mission with actionable steps.
5, establish those winning behaviors, the non-negotiable actions that embody success.
6, prioritize both mental and physical well-being. They're interconnected.
7, cultivate multiple identities so you're not solely defined by one role.
8, master those stadium skills like breath work, visualization, all those mental tools we talked about.
9, don't forget about decompression after those intense events. It's crucial for preventing burnout.
And lastly, remember, these principles apply to any area of life where you're striving for excellence.
Well, that concludes our deep dive into How to Win by Kate Hayes.
Hopefully everyone found it insightful.
We certainly did.
And remember, this is just the beginning.
Keep exploring, keep pushing yourself, and keep striving for your own definition of winning.
Until next time, keep learning and keep diving deep.